Okay, so AEW Dynamite starts off with Ospreay. He cuts a promo basically mentioning his injury, and basically he ends up mentioning that last week he wasn't cleared for Forbidden Door, but he ends up deciding to do a lights out steel cage match anyway, and that he's going to risk it no matter what, and that it's not Tony Khan's fault, it's not the doctor's fault, he's doing this based off his own decision because he feels like he has to. Okay, this makes no sense and this is so fucking stupid. So let's just say hypothetically, if this is not kayfabe. If this is not kayfabe, which I'm assuming it is, why would he mention this injury? It makes no sense because it just makes him look stupid and selfish that you're going to put the company at risk for your health because you keep mentioning how dangerous it is, how bad this injury is, but you're doing a steel cage match, which we all know is going to be very violent because in the last steel cage match, if I'm not mistaken, didn't he jump off the steel cage, if I'm not mistaken? So we know he's going to do some wild shenanigans. Now, let's say this is kayfabe. Even kayfabe wise, this is so dumb. Because just 4 weeks ago, or a couple weeks ago, he mentioned his injury, talk about how he's going to need to get surgery, then comes back and ends up saying that, you know what, I'm not cleared, but even though I'm not healthy and I clearly need it, I'm going to wrestle in a steel cage match. It doesn't make him, like, I don't know what they was thinking. Like, this does not make him sound cool. It just makes him sound dumb and very irresponsible. It makes AEW look bad from a logical perspective because, like, why would Tony Khan allow his top star wrestle with an injury? Isn't that like a thing? Isn't that wrestling 101 where you can't wrestle if you're not medically cleared, even though he just admitted he's not medically cleared? It made no sense. It's dumb on both sides. It's dumb if it's kayfabe or not kayfabe. Now, I'm going to assume that he is injured. It's just not as serious as he's making it out to be, where he may need to get surgery, but he can still somewhat wrestle to a degree. I'm going to assume it's a bit of kayfabe and he's just dragging it a bit. But either way, this is dumb. Like, the logic in it is just stupid. And it doesn't make him sound cool. It just makes him sound retarded and that he's just doing too much. Then we get the Death Riders. They come out. They try to jump him. Basically, ends up not working out. You end up getting Jet Speed coming out. You end up getting Hiroshi. I think that's his name. Who's gonna be in the steel cage match. It leads to it leads to a 6-man tag match between the Death Riders and Jet Speed and Hiroshi. The babyfaces win that match. Then it leads into an all-out brawl. You end up getting the heels attacking the baby faces. Then it was a moment where Ospreay ends up coming back into the mix. He ends up bringing out a body bag, which we all assume was Marina Shafir, but ends up turning out to be Darby Allin. Darby Allin ends up getting in the mix. The Ops comes out, and the baby faces stands off. That's really it to build towards this steel cage match. I have no interest in this match because I honestly don't care about the Death Riders because all their interest was in that World Championship. Without the World title, there's really no reason for me to care about this. And this match just really just became random out of nowhere because there's no reason for this to be a steel cage match. I understand what Ospreay and Darby intentions, but everyone else, it just kind of makes no sense for them to be in this match. But we'll see how this plays out for Forbidden Door. But I have no interest in this match at all. Afterwards, we end up getting Adam Copeland and Christian Cage. They got Tony Schiavone in the ring. Tony Schiavone ends up mentioning about Adam telling him to find himself. Christian basically ends up saying that he found himself and he found that he didn't need to change anything. And he ends up saying that him and Cope are not best friends and they're not on the same page. But they're going to help each other out, fix their problems. That Adam is going to help his matriarchy or patriarchy, whatever you want to call them, the problem, and that he's going to help fix his FTR problem. So that's why they're working together. They shake hands. Then you end up getting the matriarchy, which I'm just going to assume. I don't know if they're called that, but that's what I'm just going to call them since Christian's not there. They come out. You end up getting Nick Wayne on the Titantron, and he ends up saying a few words. Then it's revealed that he's injured with a foot injury. Don't know if it's serious or if that's kayfabe. I'm just going to assume it's serious, but they're using it in terms of story. So he won't be in the match at Forbidden Door, but he ends up saying that he always is one step ahead. And then you get Killswitch or Luchasaurus. He ends up making his return. He attacks Adam Copeland and Christian Cage. So we end up getting Luchasaurus. He finally betrayed Christian Cage. And it's going to be a tag match, which should be very, well, I'm not even going to say interesting because it's really not that interesting. But it'll be cool to see Cope and Christian team up again, even though I don't understand why they're teaming up because it doesn't even make sense, especially because they did the whole big hug of them reuniting, even though the hug should have been used at All Out, because if I'm not mistaken, All Out is in Toronto, which would have got a way bigger pop. And plus, when they hugged, that should have been the moment of them being friends again, instead of them just teaming up. You could have had the team up without the hug, but it I'm not even gonna go over it because I already ranted about it before. I'm not gonna rant about it again because it's already dumb, but we here now. We'll see how this match plays out, which I'm assuming Adam and Christian are gonna win, because you're not gonna have them lose their first match being teamed up together after like what, 20 years. So we'll see how the match plays out. We end up getting the final match of the tournament to see who's number one contendership for the Hurt Syndicate tag team titles. You get FTR versus Bro Dito. And this match ends in a 30-minute draw, so they make it a triple threat. Okay. I don't mind them making it a triple threat. That I don't have a problem. My issue with this is, why did this have to go 30 minutes into a draw? Mind you, this was a tournament. Why are we having tournaments that don't have a winner? That's number one. That's stupid. I'm sorry. There's no way you have a tournament and you end it in a draw. That is the dumbest thing ever. A tournament should always have a clear winner. That's number one. So we had to waste weeks of television for us to get a draw in the end. Okay, that's number one. Number two, I already have a feeling why this went into a draw. I feel like this only went into a draw just to protect the Hurt Syndicate, so that way they don't lose their tag titles by getting pinned. Because the only thing I'm saying is Brody King or Bandito is going to take the pin in this triple threat match. That way no one in the Hurt Syndicate have to take the pin, so they get excused. Like I said, I don't mind the triple threat if they just didn't have the tournament, because a tournament should not. You just wasted 30 minutes just for this to end a draw for it to be a triple threat, when we could have already had the triple threat been a thing without the tournament. It wouldn't have been that hard to have this be a triple threat without it being a tournament. It's really not that hard. Like, I don't understand why we need it. It is what it is. We'll see how the match plays out, but this was just a waste of time. We did not need this 30-minute match to end in a draw just for us to get a triple threat, when you could have just already booked this into a triple threat by just having them interact with the Hurt Syndicate, feud with them fighting over who gets a title shot, and then Tony Khan makes it. That's all you had to do. You didn't need a tournament this was just too much, unnecessary, just completely ridiculous. We'll see how it plays out, but this was just dumb. Then we end up getting Hangman. He cuts a promo, basically ends up mentioning MJF, mentioning how he's a coward for attacking him from attacking him last week, and that he's not willing to meet him face to face. MJF gets on the Titantron, and he basically ends up kidnapping Mark Briscoe and threatens to light him on fire if he doesn't agree to these terms. One of the terms is he could win by countout, and that he can also win by disqualification. Then the third term is that he doesn't have to use his AEW contract for the match at Forbidden Door. Then he ends up getting Hangman an ultimatum: either accept the terms or he light Mark Briscoe on fire. Hangman, of course, agrees. Okay. So they basically just retconned everything they did last week with putting the contract on the line, but now they didn't. Also, this goes to my point last week where I said the contract isn't signed, so it doesn't even make sense for the contract to be a thing, because in Hangman's promo, he literally said, when you do sign the contract, when the match is official. So when he said those words, that means MJF hasn't signed the contract. So therefore, he hasn't put the contract on the line. This makes no sense. This makes no sense. And then, if you was just gonna retcon everything you just did, all the morons have to do, the booking staff have to do, is just make the Mark Briscoe match a #1 contendership match. That's all they have to do, because Hangman has constantly said that MJF has to prove himself to him to earn the title shot. You could have just had Mark Briscoe be the #1 contender and then have him beat him, even though that was already a story, because Hangman said that was your way to get the title shot anyway, but they just completely ignored that. But sure, you could have just had that beat the match if you were just going to retcon everything in order for the contract not to be on the thing. And this just makes MJF losing at Forbidden Door even worse, because now that he has all the advantages, because he could win by disqualification and by countout, and you're still going to lose at Forbidden Door. Like what? Like, I don't understand it. I don't get the logic here. And then he was going to threaten to murder someone on TV. Like, really? You have to go that far to retcon everything? Like, all of this could have just been avoided. For one, this shouldn't even be a match. But even if you wanted this match, this could have just been avoided if you would have just stuck to your guns and just had Mark Briscoe be the #1 contender and he had to beat Mark Briscoe to end or to get a title shot. That's all you had to do. But no, they end up doing all this extra stuff that made no sense. But sure, this is where we're at now. The match should be good, but the way we got her makes no sense. And both guys need the victory, but MJF is clearly going to lose. Makes him look bad. Here we are. We'll see how the match plays out, but this was just a complete mess. Makes no absolute sense. I don't understand what they're doing. Then we end up getting a segment where Hangman confronts Ricochet because MJF ended up making a deal with Ricochet and his crew where they end up working together to kidnap Mark Briscoe. He confronts Ricochet to look for MJF, which I don't understand because Mark Briscoe is supposed to be his friend and he has high respect for him, but you don't check up on Mark Briscoe. And then security all of a sudden confronts Hangman, but a guy was about to get burned on fire to death on TV, but no security was found. Find that interesting, but we'll see how this plays out. But this was just dumb. Then we get the main event: Mercedes, Athena versus Toni Storm and Alex. The heels win. I'm not going to discuss this because who honestly cares? This was a fine match. The heels win. Didn't really progress anything. And that's really it. You guys let me know your overall thoughts of Dynamite. This show sucked like it always has been for the past few months now. But you guys let me know your overall thoughts and opinions down below. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. But yeah, that's it.